Imagine waking up to the same day every single day. No, we're not talking about the movie Groundhog Day, but the actual tradition. Intriguing, isn't it? Picture this. A furry little creature, the groundhog, holds the power to determine the fate of weather for the next 6 weeks. That's right. This is the essence of Groundhog Day, a delightful tradition that has intrigued people for generations. Groundhog Day, celebrated on the second day of February each year, is a tradition that originated in Pennsylvania, United States. The name of the day, as you might have guessed, comes from the starring role of the humble groundhog, a small mammal known for its burrowing habits. According to folklore, if the groundhog sees its shadow on this day due to clear weather, it will retreat to its den and winter will persist for 6 more weeks. If it does not see its shadow because of the cloudiness, spring will arrive early. The paradox of Groundhog Day is the amusing concept of reliving the same day over and over. This isn't about a glitch in the matrix or a hiccup in time, but rather it's an apt metaphor for the tradition itself. Every year we watch with bated breath as the groundhog emerges, and the day unfolds much the same way it did the year before and the year before that. Yet, despite the repetition, there's a certain charm to it that keeps us coming back. The suspense, the anticipation, and the community spirit that binds everyone together on this day is something truly special. This paradox also harkens back to the 1993 film Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray's character experiences the same day repeatedly. While the movie takes the concept to comedic and philosophical heights, it's the actual Groundhog Day tradition that inspired it. So, now that we've got a taste of Groundhog Day, how about we dig a little deeper into its history? Did you know Groundhog Day has ancient roots, dating back to the days of the Romans? It's quite fascinating, really. In the early days, Romans observed a similar tradition known as Hedgehog Day. During this time, they would keenly watch hedgehogs to predict the weather. They believed that when a hedgehog emerged and saw its shadow under the moonlight, there would be 6 more weeks of bad weather. If not, spring would arrive early. This was their way of bracing themselves for what lay ahead, and it became an integral part of their culture. As time passed, the tradition found its way to Germany, but with a slight twist. Instead of hedgehogs, the Germans used badgers for their weather predictions. The Germans had a saying, "Ist der Dags Licht, so bleibt noch 6 Wochen Sicht," which translates to, if the badger is in the light, he remains visible for another 6 weeks. Now you might be wondering, how did this European tradition traverse the Atlantic and become Groundhog Day in America? Well, it was all thanks to the German immigrants who settled in Pennsylvania during the 18th and 19th centuries. They brought with them their customs and traditions, including the weather-predicting badger. Yet, in their new home, badgers were not common. So they adapted their tradition to the local fauna, and the groundhog became the new harbinger of spring or the announcer of prolonged winter. Over the years, this tradition evolved into the Groundhog Day we know today, with Punxsutawney Phil, the famous groundhog from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, taking center stage. Every 2nd of February, people gather in droves to witness Phil's prediction, a spectacle that's broadcasted nationwide. So from Romans to Germans to Americans, this tradition has quite the journey, hasn't it? The next time Groundhog Day rolls around, remember it's not just a quirky American holiday. It's a centuries-old tradition, a testament to human curiosity and adaptability that has survived and thrived through the ages. Now let's take a detour from history and talk about a certain movie. Yes, the Bill Murray classic Groundhog Day. In 1993, the world was introduced to a cinematic gem which brought a quirky tradition under the limelight: Groundhog Day. The film is an ingenious blend of comedy and drama, revolving around a self-centered weatherman, played brilliantly by Bill Murray, who finds himself living the same day over and over again. This film, directed by Harold Ramis, did more than just entertain the masses. It exposed a global audience to the peculiar tradition of Groundhog Day, and in doing so, elevated this small-town custom into a globally recognized event. Today, the term Groundhog Day is often used colloquially to describe a situation that seems tediously repetitive, a testament to the movie's cultural impact. The plot of Groundhog Day is simple yet profound. Without revealing too much, let's say it's about a man trapped in a time loop on Groundhog Day, waking up each morning to Sonny and Cher's "I Got You Babe" on the radio. His journey from frustration to acceptance and ultimately to transformation is a fascinating watch, filled with humor, romance and introspection. The film's success lies in its universal appeal. It's a comedy that makes you think, a drama that makes you laugh, and a romance that warms your heart. It's a movie that makes you appreciate the small things in life and encourages you to be a better version of yourself. The Groundhog Day movie has become so intertwined with the actual Groundhog Day tradition that it's impossible to think of one without the other. The film has certainly left an indelible mark on popular culture, turning a quaint tradition into a widely recognized phenomenon. A quirky tradition turned into a classic film, Groundhog Day keeps spreading its charm. But let's get back to the real world, shall we? Did you know that Punxsutawney Phil, the famous groundhog, has been forecasting the weather since 1887? That's right, for over a century, this celebrated rodent has been predicting whether we'll have an early spring or 6 more weeks of winter. But despite his fame, Phil is not the only weather-predicting groundhog. There's also General Beauregard Lee in Georgia and Staten Island Chuck in New York, among others. It's a regular groundhog congress out there. Now, you might be wondering how long these furry forecasters live. Well, an average groundhog in the wild has a lifespan of 6 to 8 years, but our celebrity groundhogs like Phil, they defy the odds. Supposedly, Phil drinks a magical elixir every summer that grants him 7 more years of life. Talk about a secret to longevity. As for their predictions, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. According to the National Climatic Data Center, Phil's forecasts have been accurate less than 40% of the time. Not exactly a sterling record, but hey, he's a groundhog, not a meteorologist. Over the years, there have been some amusing incidents surrounding Groundhog Day. One memorable moment was in 2015, when Jimmy the Groundhog bit the mayor of Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, during the annual ceremony. Another was in 2009, when Phil's handler dropped the groundhog, causing quite a stir. Phil was unharmed, but his handler might have had a bruised ego. Groundhog Day might seem like a quirky tradition, but it's a part of our cultural fabric, a unique blend of folklore and fun. So the next time February 2nd rolls around, why not join in the festivities? After all, who doesn't love a good groundhog prediction? Well, Groundhog Day sure does come with its share of laughs and surprises. While it's fun to talk about groundhogs and their weather forecasts, let's not forget the deeper significance of this tradition. Beyond the whimsical idea of a small creature predicting the weather, Groundhog Day holds a profound symbolism. It's a beacon of hope, signaling the arrival of spring, the season of renewal and rebirth. It's a promise that the seemingly endless winter will eventually thaw and give way to warmer days, blooming flowers and chirping birds. This anticipation of change and renewal, this longing for the end of winter's harshness, is a sentiment shared by many. It's a universal human experience, a feeling as old as time itself. And in this shared anticipation and hope, Groundhog Day finds its true significance. Groundhog Day also serves as a testament to the power of community. It brings people together, creating a shared experience that transcends age, race, or creed. Every February 2nd, the town of Punxsutawney comes alive with festivities, uniting locals and visitors in a shared tradition and a common hope for an early spring. This sense of community, of shared experiences, is the lifeblood of our society. Moreover, Groundhog Day has become a cultural icon in America. It's been immortalized in film, literature and song, embedding itself in the fabric of American pop culture. The Bill Murray movie Groundhog Day brought the tradition to a worldwide audience, making the groundhog a symbol of the cyclical nature of life and the possibility of change. But it's not just about the groundhog or the weather prediction, it's about the human capacity for hope, the anticipation of change, and the power of communal traditions. It's about celebrating the cyclical nature of life and the possibility of new beginnings. So, Groundhog Day is more than just a quirky tradition. It's a symbol of hope, a celebration of community, and a cultural icon. It's a reminder that no matter how long the winter, spring is sure to follow. So, whether or not the groundhog sees its shadow, Groundhog Day surely brings a ray of sunshine in our lives.